Hello, welcome to another episode of Open Shutter, where we have Dan Debenham from the UK. Big thanks to Dan because it's currently Saturday night there. So big thanks to Dan for taking the time, part of his weekend, to come on Open Shutter and discuss his YouTube journey. If you're following us or watching from Dan's side, you don't know exactly what the show's about, try to do this show every week and just try to get on people that make stuff to talk about what they make and how they make it and why they make it and all that good stuff. So if you make something, message me on I don't know, my Instagram, it's somewhere, or Open Shutter, it's somewhere on this description, and we can definitely chat because the power of the internet is you can be anywhere in the world and you can still come on the show. So huge plus with that. And yeah, Dan, don't want to take too much of your time, so big thanks again for taking the time. And for the people that don't know who you are, maybe a quick intro about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Thanks for having me on, Paul. It's amazing to be on. To be fair, it's a great podcast. I've watched a good few of them, and they're really interesting. So a little bit about me. My name's Dan Debenham. I'm a YouTuber who primarily sort of looks at the film and photography sort of area. So do a few tutorials, some reviews of equipment, some techniques and that kind of stuff of how you could do things in the filmmaking sort of world. And sort of trying to make your life a little bit easier. Wow. And I've been doing this, as we said before, I've been doing it since about 2018 or the back end of 2018 or thereabouts. I've had a channel for a long time, since probably way back in 2007. Okay. Did nothing with it. It was sort of sat there dormant.
You reserved the rights.
Yeah, kind of like, dove on it and then sort of did nothing with it because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And then I thought, I'd been filmmaking since about 2008, 2009, in various different actual jobs, 9-to-5 jobs. And I've done some freelancing, TV adverts and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought at one point, well, the things that I've learned and the mistakes that I've made might be good to sort of share those as a little bit of a hobby, really, rather than trying to make it sort of a full-time thing. And that's where this channel came from. So I sort of started out from that.
Love that. Yeah. So just the backstory of how Dan and I met is, if you guys have been following this channel for a long time or watched the Why We YouTube documentary, Dan's in the documentary, and that was 2 years ago. So just telling Dan offline how I'm getting all these memories saying, oh, you did this and did this from the documentary. So, that kind of documentary was just a way to kind of like showcase YouTubers on why we actually do what we do, because I think sometimes we get lost or other people don't really understand. That's a good way to showcase creators, because if you don't make a video, you don't really know what's involved sometimes, because sometimes people will just think we press record and upload and that's it, and it's like, well, that's not it, and there's a lot more stuff that goes to it. So Dan's piece in the whole documentary was really kind of what Dan mentions. You want to make people's lives easier, right, in terms of just like making things or making videos, because there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, and I think, and to be honest with you, I think that statement where people just think that you hit record and then
you do,
you press edit on the computer and that spits out a video. That is sort of like happens even in the 9-to-5 world, when you're doing a video and people just think, oh, it's only going to take 5 minutes to do this, and there's no need for all this fancy stuff. When really, what they want is that fancy look, but without all the hassle of having to do it all.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I make videos for for this landscape company, and it's on the same level as you, but they just think, oh, can't you just do this? I'm like, I can. It's gonna take me a couple hours, right? They don't understand the work. So
and conversely as well, it's like there have been videos that I've done where I've done an informational video, for instance, where I've turned up with a full rig. It's matte box on the front, whole 9 yards, lighting and all that kind of good stuff. And I literally could have just hit record. And then somebody else a few weeks later has turned up to do the similar job with a mobile phone, and they've said, what are you here with a mobile phone for? And it can. So from my perspective, sometimes the perception is that you need all this stuff to do that job. And then they don't realize, like you said earlier, they don't realize that there's a huge amount of work that goes into the back end of that once you get it back to the studio, as it were, when really your bit of gear should be commensurate to the job that you're doing. So for instance, I wouldn't turn up with a red Monstro to film a TikTok video. I turn it with a mobile phone because that's the piece of gear that's best suited for that role, kind of thing. But the perception of the person at the other side of the camera is that you need all this 30-man crew and all this kind of stuff to sort of get that production value, when really, you know, you can, it's a toolbox, as it were, you know. And that's partly what I'm trying to educate, you know, that you hear it a lot, and gear does matter, but it matters. It matters to the job you're doing.
It does. I agree with that.
You're actually, you know, you don't have to go and spend millions on equipment, you know.
No, for sure. I mean, definitely, I mean, gear does matter, but it also matters for each project too. Like, I mean, TikTok versus, you know, whatever, Netflix. I mean, these are two totally different projects, right? And it's a funny, I think it's a fine line that we walk when you start to make money off what you like to do, because not sometimes, it does, like, it is a job. Like, it becomes work. It no longer becomes like a hobby. It no longer becomes not fun, but it becomes a work, right? So it's easy to kind of like lose that passion, right? When you start kind of like getting into it with clients and stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, and that's it's a sort of YouTube for me is more hobby side of things, because I actually enjoy doing them. And if they add value to somebody and somebody gets something from those, and as with your videos, you know, if somebody enjoys watching them, Paul, then you sort of hit the mark, haven't you?
Yeah.
But if nobody watched them, you'd still put them out because,
of course,
you enjoy doing it.
It's for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's for you. It's always for you first. I always believe in that. It should always be for you first, and then the audience second. People will disagree, saying you have to make one. You have to make one for you and one for the audience. I get that, but I think there is still a way to make all of them for you. And if you do it right, because even if you get a piece of gear to review, we were just saying offline, you, Dan, still have to believe in the gear that you're talking about. You're not just going to say, hey, I like this.
And that's absolutely what we were talking about before, isn't it? Where, you know, I have that real hard and fast rule, and I spoke to Cody Warner about this, because I'd been getting some emails from people saying, you know, or can you review this? Can we send you that? Can we give you so and so or whatever? And I just said to Cody, I was like, because obviously I'm new to all that. I just said to him, how do I go about knocking that back? Because unless I buy it and I feel like I would actually buy it, then I don't want to review it, because I don't want to just get stuff and be almost like a free advertisement for it when I'm not really invested in that actual product. So like primarily I would say 99.9% of the things that I review on my channel are things that I've actually saved up for, bought, or you know, earned money for and bought, and then thought, you know what, that'd be an interesting video. I could do a video on that. And I think that sort of adds a weight of gravitas to what you're saying, because if you I mean, I've still got it here actually. This is a tripod that I did a vlog on about my worst purchase, and basically, you know, it's a 700 quid tripod that is absolutely useless to me, because it's massive. It weighs about the same as a Chieftain tank.
It looks like a body bag. It looks like a body bag.
It's massive, and I bought that, and I wasted my money. And so if I've bought something and it's rubbish, I can review it and say, I bought this, but it's absolutely rubbish because there's no use for it, kind of thing. And I feel like that is a really good place to be. So when people watch what you're doing and listen to what you're saying, there's an air of genuineness about it, because you know, you've stuck your neck out essentially to review that product for somebody. You've not just been sent it through the post, which is lovely. I'm sure it's great for people to be sent cameras and lenses and all this kind of stuff. You know, that's a lovely place to be. But I just feel like I'd be beholden to say something positive about it, even if there perhaps wasn't anything positive to say.
Of course.
You know?
And then I think that is a slippery slope to go down, because like once you start to do that, then you just start to kind of like accept more of those kinds of deals.
And as we said offline, you know, I'd be gutted if I said this thing was brilliant, and then 3 months later said, actually there are a load of problems with it, and I thought even just one person had gone out and bought it off my say so. For me to then say, well, actually, it's rubbish, this, or there's problems with it, I'd feel really bad if somebody bought something that I said was great and it wasn't.
It's like, you know, it's like your character, it's your reputation, right? It's like you, because I think people can, you know, eventually people can see through people and see if they're being genuine or not. And you know, especially on YouTube, I think you do have to be real, because otherwise, like, why would people watch? Because To me, that's what like YouTube is. It's just raw. It's just rawness, right? It's real. It's reality.
Absolutely, yeah. And to be, I'll be honest with you, it took me. I did about 6 or 7 videos before I actually uploaded a video.
Yeah, just talking about Tony last week. Yeah,
tried to get my voice of what I and I was showing like family this, my wife and what have you, this video and stuff. I've done it. No, I wouldn't say that. Do it again. Eventually, she said to me, why are you doing it like that? Why are you not just doing it like yourself? Why are you not being you? Yeah. And I was like almost automatically trying to put this character on, this like TV personality, so to speak.
Once that light's on, it becomes different. Like it becomes different. It just this. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Man.
And it took me ages to sort of like get comfortable with just being me. And it's like, if my personality comes through, it comes through. And who I am is who I am, kind of thing. But it took a while to do that. It's a scary thing.
Man. It's work, man. To be in front of the camera is work. Like unless you're like one of the rare people that are just naturally talented on camera, it's work, man. Because it's just a weird thing to talk to a camera. Like it still is to me a little bit. I've been doing it for like 4 years. It's still kind of weird. I mean, I'm kind of over it, but there's sometimes this is weird.
Yeah,
but it's a human thing, right?
And now I guess when you're stood talking to a camera, other people who don't talk to a camera look at you and go, "Oh, wow, look how cool he is!" Look,
or they're like, "What the hell is this guy doing talking to a camera?" Like, I don't get it. Like,
how cool! I could never do that. That's unbelievably,
Why, if you go ahead, that's why I always keep the videos like when I first started that were really just awkward as F. Like they're still up there because I want to show people like. You start here, but you can end up here, right?
Yeah,
because if you just keep working at it, right? Working at it.
Yeah, me too. When it was like, echoing kitchen and all that kind of stuff, and it was terrible sound and
hilarious. Yeah, it's great. It's also a great way to look back at it too. If you kind of like keep the old stuff, kind of like see your progress, right? I think that's super cool to see.
Yeah. And I think it shows. It's like you said. It shows that air of rawness about it, where people think,
I think that's what people like.
This person's not polished from the beginning, and he's not I'm never going to achieve that. It's this. Oh well, they started from this echoey kitchen, a table kind of thing or whatever, with like the bare minimum of kit, and is steadily but slowly but surely the progress moves on, and the product gets a bit better and a bit more. Polished and what have you, as you start to get more in favor of what you're doing, and I think YouTube as well. It's a style in itself.
Yes.
I would never shoot an advert like I would shoot a YouTube video.
No,
because they're a completely separate style. They're a totally different style, and it's finding that style that fits with you and your personality and what you actually want to sort of. What your niche is, so to speak, what you're actually doing, as it were, on YouTube, which I think is like a journey in itself. And all those things don't happen at the same time. I found that, I found my voice, and then I got some better equipment, and then I realized what the style was going to be, and then I thought the niche, should I do that niche or should I do something else? They all happen at different times. It's almost like nothing comes together all at once.
No, and I think they constantly change too. I don't think your YouTube journey is fully. Whatever, like fully evolved. Like I think it always changes, as it should change, because you're always growing too as a person, as a creator. Like why wouldn't it change?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why wouldn't it?
And I suppose, and it also, like going back to the kit and the gear and stuff, that is sort of predicated on where you want to take your channel.
Yeah.
So you could end up with this whole warehouse full of gear and like really expensive cameras, a la MKBHD or whatever it's called, Marcus Brownlee. You could end up looking like that with 28 red cameras and robotic arms and all that kind of stuff.
You could.
Or you could just stick with a mobile phone and a ring light, and if that's what your sort of niche is and your what you're comfortable with, that's working for you, and you're good with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's some amazing people out there that do amazing stuff with very little.
I think people should be proud that they do stuff with just a mobile phone, to be honest, because that takes a lot of courage to do that, because there's always this voice in the back of your head saying, "Oh, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this." And it's like, well, you're never gonna get started, right? I mean,
I think that people if you've not got to be frightened of admitting you don't know everything as well, because that's why channels like me are there. And I don't know
Yes,
everything.
Dan. You got to teach me. You got to teach you how to edit properly.
Yeah, and it's like, it's just like I don't know everything, and neither does anybody else, because the industry's changing so fast.
Yeah, I know. Well, now there's like YouTube now is all about shorts, right? So just saying last week, I find it hard for me to do a short because I don't know what's interesting for me to do.
Yeah, I must admit, I struggle a little bit with the short stuff. Yeah. I mean, shorts are trying very hard to be like reels, which are trying very hard to be like TikTok, aren't they? And I think, and I almost think when it comes to those things, stick in lane. TikTok's great for doing what it does. Yeah. So why would I do that on YouTube? I would do that on TikTok if I was going to do it. Yeah. I wouldn't do long form stuff on TikTok because it wouldn't work. But I would do long form stuff on YouTube, and even to the point of projects that you think you could put out and just try. Yeah. I'm happy. I'd be happy to do that as well on YouTube, but I wouldn't do it on Reels or whatever.
No, of course not.
And I'm like you. I'm still dipping my toe in the water of that at the moment.
I know. I just find it. I find it difficult for me to think of an idea that I want to do, and that's kind of interesting. Like it's like, what am I gonna do? Like it's like, I don't know. I even today I was like just trying to think of stuff. Like maybe like the first day of spring is Monday, so maybe I'll do something about the first day of spring. So like, what is that in 90 seconds or 60 seconds? So
yeah,
it really forces you to think of something, to make something really quick that people like and that you'll like too. So
and again, you look at these people who put stuff out on TikTok and it's like hilarious, and you just think the amount of production value that's gone into that is immense for something that's like a minute long or whatever.
It's crazy, man.
It's really, really, really good, and you think that's some talent there to get that message across in such a short space of time.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to do this year. I don't know, I'll have to see. I'm gonna try to do something maybe this week for short, but I'll see what happens.
Watch this space, guys.
yeah. Watch how I edit this. I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird thing, but yeah, I mean, what do you think the future of video content is? Is it going to be shorts in the future, or is it going to go back to long form, you think, or a hybrid? What do you think the future is of this thing?
See, I think long form, and when I talk about long form as well, I'm talking about TV style long form.
Yeah.
Because I think with long form, you can get a lot more across, you can get a lot more of this. So I've had this idea for a comedy, sort of short comedy, to go on YouTube for about 2 years now. We've had a few iterations of scripts and so on and so forth, and I've got a couple of people who are going to star in it and what have you. And we're about ready to sort of push the button on it almost.
Nice.
But with long form, it's you can get much more of that character development and much more investment in the sort of each individual episode, as it were. So I personally think that long form isn't going to go away. If anything, it's going to overtake things like short films, because I feel like you can't get as much character development, even in if you were doing a YouTube vlog series, and you're doing a short YouTube film, and it was 15, 20 minutes long or whatever. I still think 6 of those as episodes is much, much, much more engaging than that one short film, or a short, as it were, short form content a quick video for a TikTok or a reel or whatever that may be. And I think that is where it's going to go, and I think that's borne out. I feel like that's borne out from above us in sort of the pro industry, where you're seeing a lot of major names starting to star in TV shows.
Yeah.
Because that long form allows them the ability to develop that character a lot more and do things with that character a lot more than what they would do if they could do it in a sort of hour and 20 minutes on a film, where they've got to move along so quick. You can't get to find out what that person does at home, or what they do after work or whatever. There's sort of, they've got to brush over that and keep going with the actions, that kind of thing. Whereas with a long form show, like a TV show, where we look at TV shows now, they're all episodes of 6 or 8 episodes, but they're an hour long.
Just binge it for a weekend, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think long form is probably where it's going to be, if I'm honest.
I hope so.
I think short form's really got a place for getting an instant message over. where it's, you know, you're trying to get something across immediately, but it's not particularly deep, as it were. So for me, definitely.
I definitely agree with you on like the long form stuff in terms of like shows, because you go on Netflix and all those things, and it's like that's a lot of like TV series, and they're like you say 8 to 12 episodes, and you know, binge it for a week and whatever. I think people like binging stuff too, right?
Yeah, I think gone are the days when we made like, you know, 25 episodes in a series and stuff like that. I think you know, 20-minute episodes are sort of like almost going to die there. I think they'll go for the proper hour-long jobs. And I think YouTube will follow that sort of trend. It may not be that long, but I think it'll follow that trend of, right, okay, we're going to make this film, this series of episodes, basically, rather than just doing one single video. So like a vlog might be 4 episodes, and it might be that same journey kind of thing, but it's split up over 4 episodes.
And you would think, like, you wonder if YouTube would start charging like a membership for that kind of stuff, kind of like a Netflix style, where if you want to watch these creators and these series, you have to pay now to access the content. You just wonder where like it's gonna go, right?
Because they tried that, didn't they? They had YouTube Premium, didn't they?
They still do. They still do have it. I mean, that's basically you pay premium to not watch commercials. I'm just wondering if they'll go the route of like a Netflix where you pay to watch certain creators. Like, imagine that, right? Like,
I mean, that's it. That'd be an interesting sort of, you know, going down the streaming route almost.
You talk about like a Mr. Beast. Like, imagine like how many subscribers a Mr. Beast would pay YouTube to watch Mr. Beast. I'm sure quite a few would pay. Right?
Absolutely.
I don't know. It's interesting. Like, where, like, because you know, you always think about like the business model, like where can you try to make money, right? And that's why they're pushing the shorts, because they make money off this stuff. And now people that make the shorts can make money off them too. But like,
and to be fair to YouTube as well, YouTube are probably one of the only sort of social media platforms that actually pays its creators and has done for the vast majority of the time. Really,
shout out to YouTube.
I mean, hats off to them. You know, they're not you know, I mean, not every platform can please everybody that's on it, and you know, there are always going to be detractors there, aren't there? But you know, in terms of actually forking out for their content creators, there's an avenue there for you to get paid if you wanted to. Whereas some of the other content creators, some of the other platforms like, you know, like Facebook or whatever, they're not paying their Reels creators, which is, you know, it's
insanity.
Yeah, pretty much.
Insanity.
Really.
It's insane. We were just saying offline how if you're a big channel and you make your living off YouTube, imagine the stress involved on the video's performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Imagine that stress.
Yeah, I mean, I you know, I as a freelancer, and I did a short stint of only freelancing, so I didn't have a 9 to 5, and I've got I do 9 to 5 now, as well as doing this and freelance as well when I need to. But as a freelancer alone, it's stressful enough when you're in control of, you know, I can go to this place and I can take the gear with me and I can produce a film and so on and so forth. But if you're in a place where you've got all this outlay, you've done it all, you've spent ages and ages and ages and years in some cases building a following and getting those people to come and watch your content, but you're not actually in control of whether your content is seen. Somebody else who doesn't know you, who really, to be fair, because they don't know you, there's no sort of influence. There's no connection or care.
There's no connection.
So they're not thinking, oh, actually, Paul's a good lad. You know, let's make sure his content's seen because, you know, he's a nice bloke. Let's sort that out. There's none of that. So at the flick of a switch, your content could just straight down. And then you're like, how do I pay my bills? What am I going to do? You sort of like, you've gone from this fun time making a video like we are, you know, we're having a good time making them, to this, I've got to make a video this week and it's got to perform, it's got to do X number of views and it's got to bring in X number of money, or I can't pay my house loan or my gas bill or my electricity bill or utilities or whatever that be, or my car or whatever. And I can't imagine the stress of doing all that at the same time. That you know, it's hard enough as it is, you know.
Yeah.
As we were saying offline, you know, I've got a kid and I've got a job and all that kind of stuff, fitting this in as well. And if I take away the job and just made this a job, this stops becoming fun. It becomes a job. And let's be fair, if we could all not work and carry on doing what we're doing, we'd all not work, wouldn't we?
Of course not. I would do this show every day. It'd be a lot of fun. Yeah. That's why we're saying offline, like how it's important for people that are watching. Like, you know, the grass isn't always greener. Like, it's important to have different income streams when you're on that level, because you don't want that stress for like a video's performance. You need different income streams just in case something blows, something falls, whatever the case is.
Yeah, and that's why you see these people are getting sponsorships and stuff, and they're trying to, you know, getting sponsored by Squarespace.
Well, it's Squarespace in every episode, man. Like, it's you go on people's channels, every freaking video is sponsored by either like Epidemic or MusicBed or Artlist or Squarespace. It's like, just do one video that's not sponsored, man, please. Just do one. Like, I get it. You have to make money. I get it, but man, just do one video.
But I saw a video with Cody talking about, you know, speaking of Squarespace. You know, Cody Wanner did a video on that where he was saying that he'd got 4 videos to do in a month, so that's 1 a week, which is quite a lot. You know, it's quite a lot. It's got a lot of videos to do, but 3 of those were Squarespace videos, and you inevitably leave them to the end because they're not the sexy, exciting ones to do, are they? Yeah. And then you're like scrabbling around the week before, thinking, "Christ, I've got to make 3 videos now, and I've got to come up with these amazing ideas to all fit with Squarespace, because otherwise it's not relevant." And then you're stressing, then, you know. And I just think, oh, I couldn't bother with that.
Yeah, we like, you know, like talking about ideas. Like, how do you come up with ideas? Like, do you have a process for you to come up with ideas?
Well, some of it is very fluid. So, you know, like we were talking about gear and about how you see a lot of these people who have got like oodles amounts of kit, and then you see all these people and they're saying, you know, gear doesn't matter and stuff. That might be an idea for a video, you know, or I'll buy a piece of kit and I'm like, right, that'd be interesting to talk about because my experience with it is, you know, it's great or it's rubbish or whatever. And so, you know, that kind of stuff comes in, and then I think some of it is because my 9 to 5 is making films as well as, you know, exactly the things that I come up against when I'm editing, or the things that I do when I'm editing, and I think, oh, I'll do this in this video this week, or the project needs this doing. I automatically think, well, that would make a good tutorial, so I write that down as a shoot. So I end up with these notebooks full of stuff where I've got ideas of things that I could do and advice and stuff, and then on top of that there's the vlog stuff. So that's just things that I fancy doing a talk about, you know, if I want to rant about something or whatever. So I sort of like do that, and then because I talk a lot, and if you've watched any of my videos, there's lots and lots and lots of me talking because I just love to talk to camera. I also do these sort of Fridays sometimes where I cut all that rubbish out and just get right to the meat of it straight away, because I realise not everybody's got 20 minutes to listen to me ramble on, you know. So yeah, there is a bit of a process to it, and it you know, but I try not to be too rigid with it, because I have to want to do the video at the same time. So you know, I sort of like, sometimes I have an idea for a video and I think that'd be fantastic, and then it comes to the making it and I'm like, I can't be bothered with that. Can't be bothered to do that. That's going to be next week's because I'm just not in the mood for doing that now. And so then I'll switch and do something else. And I also have to sort of like, I try very hard, having a kid and a job and a life and family and all that kind of stuff. I try and make sure that my videos are doable in the available free time that I've got. Where I'm not just like, bye to the wife, you can look after the kid for me, I'm off to do this video, you know.
I'm gone for the weekend, bye. What?
Kind of thing. So that is a thing, and that does play in my mind a little bit, because I do sometimes feel like some of my videos are a little bit rushed, because I've had, you know, and I've been doing this a long time, so I can do a video and I can get it out and done in half a day, you know, and that's uploaded and everything, filmed from scratch. And sometimes I feel like, well, I'd like to have spent another half a day on that, or another day or two on that, but I needed to get it out. So because I felt like now's the time, you know.
You always say, man, done is better than perfect, right?
This is it, mate. Yeah,
That is
yeah,
that is the creator's slogan.
yeah,
For
never
everyone.
get perfect, get in the way of good enough.
Because honestly, for me, it's like I'm like I never like I like my stuff, but it's like it could be better. But yeah, it could be better.
Yeah.
Everyone, right? It could be better. It could be better, and you know,
Yeah.
you just gotta move on. You just
Yeah,
gotta
and
move on. Like just forget about it. It's over. It's done.
that's the same no matter what level you're at.
No matter, right?
You know,
That's what I think. You could be the greatest freaking editor in the world, and that person will still think it can be better.
You talk to Chris Nolan, and Chris Nolan will tell you that that Inception wasn't quite as good as what it could have been.
Man, imagine that, eh?
You know, because he'll have had this thing in his head, and he's like, "Oh,
there was one frame that I missed, or something."
Yeah,
it's like, okay,
yeah.
But
so the process for me is just, you know, it's quite fluid, and I don't put too much stock in. I've got to do this video on this day. I have a series of videos that I can pick from, and I think, right, today I'm going to do that one, and that's because that's how I feel like I'm going to do it. And I sort of like draw on the things that I've seen, draw on the things that other people have sort of mentioned to me in passing, and I just think, oh, and sometimes some people will say, you know, at work, people say, oh, it'd be great if you could do a video on that and show me how to do that. And so I think, oh, well, I'll do one then. You know, so I, you know, I'll put one together, kind of thing, you know, and that, you know, it's just quite nice. It's a hobby, so you've got to enjoy it, haven't you?
Yeah. I think especially when you're trying to teach people, like, assume people don't know.
Yeah.
Because not everyone knows how to use an adjustment layer. Not everyone knows what an adjustment layer is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it could be that simple.
Yeah.
Because not everyone knows what that stuff is, and that's like the great thing about doing like these like tutorials, is that you can always teach someone something.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the great thing about it.
And it's, if you don't know, it's scary. If you don't know, it's a little bit intimidating. And
I didn't go to school for freaking edit. I took a summer crash course in Premiere, and that's how I started. Here's how to open Premiere. Good luck. Okay.
And I'll be honest with you. I mean, I did a course with the BBC to learn how to edit. So I did get trained how to edit and how to color grade and all that kind of stuff. But I have sat with people who've come from uni who are, you know, have done media studies at uni and how to edit and stuff, or at college or whatever, and they've done it and they've got there, and you sat next to them, and they're literally going along the top bar, you know, it says file and edit and view and history and all that. Where's the thing I'm looking for? And they're all dropping down one at a time, and you're just like, it's there. It's there. And it's just scary because they don't know, you know.
It's also it's true, man. Like, there's so much to editing. Like, you know, I mean, there's so many jobs in editing, like audio and, you know, editing and, like, you know, color grading, as you mentioned. Like, there's all these like careers rolled up in one as a video editor. Like, it's impossible to be good at all of them. You know what I mean?
Especially as a YouTuber, you know, because you're
especially
you're like, you know, you're the producer, the director,
you're
the cinematographer. You're both units of cinematographer because you're B and A cam as well. And then you've got the editing, the color grading. You're the marketing guy. You're you know, you're doing the whole process all the way through, and you've got to be, and to make YouTube work for you, and if you know, to be the like sort of Mr. Beast, as it were. You've at some point, Mr. Beast didn't have a team behind him. It was Mr. Beast.
No,
and so he's had to have been an expert at all those things to get it to that point. Hasn't he?
He still got his videos up when he first started in his freaking bedroom. It's hilarious. So,
and again, you know, like we said before, I think that keeping those videos up, that shows that there's that journey there, isn't there? You know, and
that's cool.
Everybody has to start somewhere.
Like to me, like it just takes one or two videos to really kind of like pop, to really kind of like get your channel to like the next level, because you never know when that's going to happen, and it's always the videos that you don't like that do well for some reason.
Very
the videos that you love, it's like, oh, this just tanked. Okay.
If I could just make videos on like the R5C, that'd be perfect.
Right. That's what people want to watch. So I mean, it's always the videos that you don't like. But I also think that's because you don't have the emotional connection to the videos that you don't like. That's why they do well, because you don't have the expectation. Whereas the videos that you do like, oh, this should really do well.
You love it, so you think everybody else should love it.
No one cares. Like, no one cares that I make a video. Like nobody cares. And that, to me, it's like, you need to, like, I told this with Tony last week. Like, you need to detach the emotional connection to the video, because
Paul, it still amazes me that people actually watch my videos. You
Yeah.
know, it's still, I always equate it. We've got this tiny little theater in where I live.
People will come.
It's got like
on their own
500
volition.
Yeah, it's got 500 seats in it.
And people will come and watch.
Yeah, and I just think, you know, some of my videos sometimes would fill that whole little theater.
Yeah.
You know, with
It's a
people
lot
watching,
of people, man.
listening to me, and I'm like, well, you know,
it's a lot of people. It's a lot of
what is
people.
that about?
Like imagine going to a party of like 200 people and showing your video to the party of 200 people. It's a lot of people.
Yeah, and I sort of say that to people when I'm talking to them about YouTube. I'm like, you know, don't get dissuaded by the fact you've only had like 60 people watch it. That's like 60 people have been interested enough in what you've got to say to sit and watch your video. It's brilliant.
I know. Really. I totally agree with that, man. Like I think we all want the, you know, the 1.5 million views or whatever the crazy numbers are, and it happens, and you know, usually it doesn't happen, but it's like the slow roll, right, of just trying to like be consistent, which I think is like the hardest part for everyone, including myself, to be consistent in terms of like just trying to like constantly just do the work for free. Like we're not getting paid for this. Like what? You're not getting paid for this, huh? I don't get it. You're doing what?
It's and I think that also is a great point, because I think that you are doing it for free, but people's perception is that you're actually getting paid. No, because people thought YouTubers get loads of money.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure some people do think we all get paid, and you know, that's not the case. But you know, it's a funny thing. Like I know that you mentioned freelance. Like, do you have tips for people that want to freelance, like on how to approach clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's be brave and be bold. And pick your ability, as it were. So you know, I mean, when I started out doing freelance stuff, I thought I was going to be working for Discovery Channel, filming otters and stuff. You know,
cool.
You know, because that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? I mean, that's never happened. But you know, start off with things that are small. Look around where you are and what you can offer to people that are close by you.
Huge.
And do those sort of start with those corporate videos. That's how I started. I thought, you know, and I also I made it my business to get involved with people who were in the business. Yeah. So, you know, I remember at one point I was sat in an outside broadcast van with a guy from Sky. Sky Sports, and he was a guy who was doing the action replays for football, soccer over where you are, and so he was doing that, and I went and I said, "Oh, come along with me, and you can sit in a van and see what we do." He says, "And you know, we'll stick your name on a list." And essentially, what they had is this list of names. And on a Saturday, Friday night or whatever, they'd ring around this list of names, start at the very top and say, "We've got a game tomorrow. Do you want to come and be the guy who does the replay thing?" And if he said no, they went to the next person on the list. And the more you said yes, the further up to the top of the list you got, which meant you were the first person to get wrong, kind of thing, you know.
Nice.
And so that's that industry. It sort of shocked me a little bit that's how that industry works. I'd always had it in my head that, you know, you had to go to your college or uni or whatever that would be, and
apply for the job and
all that kind of stuff. And really, because they're all freelancers, it was like, well, if you're a cameraman and you can get on this list, you could be the one doing the filming in the stadium, or you're the one doing the action replays, and the same with like the news channels and stuff. You know, they don't have their own cameramen anymore, or camera people, as it were. So they don't have the cinematographers. They quite often it's just a one-man band, and he sets it up, it's recorded, then stands in front of it. And if they don't, it's somebody like me who just turns up, you know, in your own car with your camera and everything, and then you're just sending it straight to Sky straight away. And again, sort of like once you've done that, once you're in that sort of arena, as it were, you start to get picked up by other places. So like with me, I got involved with a firm who were based in France, who did like TV adverts for like Mercedes and places like that. And so when they're putting a package together for an advert or whatever, looking for crew, they just email out and say, you know, we're looking for a crew on X day. Are you available? Have you got X, Y, and Z? Because that's the other thing you've got to be mindful of when you start getting into commercial work. And I say commercial work rather than freelance work. So commercial work, I would say stuff that's going out onto TV or into cinema or whatever that would be. Often with commercial work, they want you to have a specific set of gear before you can apply. So it's like this project is being filmed on, I I don't know, an Arri Alexa, or it's being filmed on a Canon C200 or a Sony Venice or whatever that would be. And so you're out of the game if you can't get hold of one of those, whether that's you've got one yourself or whether you're hiring it.
Yeah.
Whereas with freelance work, which is sort of like the commercial stuff, the corporate stuff, corporate videos, you can turn it with a DSLR and do that as long as it's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So you can sort of put that package of gear together yourself really quickly. And I found, from a freelance perspective, I operated it exactly like I operate YouTube. And I guess that's where me operating YouTube's come from, is that I bought the stuff that I needed to do the job that I was going to get paid for. So for a long while, I was sort of like taking the bare minimum of profit out of that job. If it was a $3,000 video, for instance, I might be taking $300 of that, but the other bit of money was either tax, obviously, because you've got to pay that onto the business, and then the rest of it paid for the gear that I bought up front to do the job in the first place. And then the next time I would buy a light or I'd buy another microphone.
It's an investment though, right? It's an investment. You're reinvesting. You're reinvesting. Right?
So you're building up your package of stuff that you can then do your job. And that works in two ways, really. One, it opens you up because it allows you to be able to bid for bigger jobs, as it were. Yeah. But it also speeds up your workflow, because the more of the right gear you've got for that job, the quicker the job you can be doing. You know, if you're making workarounds, so you're having to place a shotgun microphone right underneath somebody's chin to get the sound, it's not as good as having a lapel mic. If you've got a lapel mic because you've done it on a previous job, that makes your job a lot faster. So that filming job's a lot quicker, so you're there less time, so you're making more money out of it, so to speak.
No, it's good. It's good that you reinvest in the gear and make sure you have as much kit as you have, because again, you never know what job you can get, right? You never know what jobs are out there.
Absolutely, yeah. That's
timing,
it.
Timing is everything, isn't it? Like just being in the right place at the right time. Like, oh, Dan's here, let's go hire him.
Yeah, it is, and also I would one other good piece of advice I would give anybody who's like looking to get into sort of the sort of freelance commercial film world is look at what your peers are charging and charge that. Because if you overcharge, you're not going to get it, because they'll get it from somebody else. But if you undercharge, you alienate your peers as well at the same time. Because if you're doing a job, if you're doing a $3,000 job for $500, eventually that firm's going to think that job's worth $500. And so if you're going along with $5,000 worth of gear to do a $500 job, and the maths, whilst it's great you've got the work up front and you're getting the work in, what you're actually doing is damaging your own future income by charging.
Pricing's always tough, isn't it? Pricing's always a tough one.
It's a really alien thing to ask somebody for something, to ask somebody to pay you what you feel you're worth. No, because I think everybody's sort of instinct is to dumb down what they feel they're worth.
Yeah, I think so. I think people always undercharge themselves.
Yeah.
But I mean, would you just ask straight up the peers that are doing the work, like, how much did you charge for this project? Just straight up, how much did you charge?
It's not a secret, it's not a state secret how much these things cost, and it's within their, in my experience, it's been within their sort of, it's a positive thing for them, because they know that you're looking to charge a similar rate, so you're all sort of
them too, right?
You're all sort of looking after each other, as it were, rather than sort of trying to compete. You are competing for jobs, obviously, and obviously, there are things you can do that somebody else might not do that will get you that job. But in terms of ballpark figure of where you're going, you need to be around where everybody else is. Otherwise, you're doing yourself a disservice and you're doing them a disservice.
Yeah, that's a good tip. That's good advice to ask the peers. Yeah, I know pricing's always a tough one, man. It's always just kind of like, oh my God, I don't want to charge too much. I don't want to lose this thing.
Oh, I really struggled with it. I'll be honest. I really struggled with that. And it took me somebody gave me that piece of advice, which is why I'm passing it on, paying it forward. But they gave me that piece of advice that don't dumb down what you are worth. So it's literally sit down and work out how much the gears cost, you know, and so you can take a percentage of that, and you're adding that in. How much your time is, you think your time's worth, and how much your time is for filming, how much it is for lunch, how much travel is, because people forget about all those things. They forget about sustenance and stuff. You know, you're going on a job and you've got to get there. So if you've traveled 500 miles and it's cost you $80-90 in fuel, you need to get that $90 back.
Yeah, it's true. It's important.
You know, otherwise you've lost money. You know, you've lost out doing that job. You've ended up doing it for note.
Always try to like itemize like everything involved, like, even lunch. That's a good tip, man. That's a good tip. That's good tip. I mean, freelance is a wild west, isn't it? Sometimes.
It very much is. Yeah, it very much is. And that's it. You know, I've lost out. I've lost out on work because I've gone in with the price, and somebody's come and said, "Oh, well, we can get it for half that." And I've said, "Well, you know, if you can get it for half that, and it's as good as what I can do, and I know that's not true, knock yourself out." You know, you get yourself. And within a few jobs, they're coming back knocking on your door saying, "Do you want to just come and repair what this person's done?"
Oh, I got to charge more now.
It was lastminute.com, so it's like the price is 50% more. You know,
sorry, it's called surge pricing. It's called idiot pricing. That's what it's called. Man. I think perception is such a huge thing, and just like this, just like video and photography, any kind of like creative space. Like, people just think that, oh, can't you just do this for like this? Like, no, I gotta do all this stuff. Like, perception is such a thing, isn't it, between clients and artists?
It really is, and it doesn't. I think perception also doesn't just stick with the sort of monetary side of it. No. It sticks with the equipment as well at the same time. And as we were discussing offline, you know, I've turned up to a job with like a full-on rig. And I literally could have just hit record and just stood there, you know, because it's just a straight shot to camera. There's nothing really technical about that. And then the following week, somebody else has turned up with a phone and done exactly the same thing and got exactly the same result. But the person who's, why have you come with a phone? Where's the camera and all this kind of stuff?
It's like, I can't. It's true though. It's like clients just think that you need all this gear. It's like, oh, I'm paying you whatever. Don't you need a rig? It's like, well.
And this is the thing. It's a toolbox, isn't it? And you and I both know that. And it's you use the right tool. You wouldn't never take a screwdriver, something that you needed a drill for. No. And that's the same with sort of filmmaking. I would never take a full rig to do a TikTok video. There's zero point in that. You know, it needs to look a certain way. And the same, I would never take a phone to do an advert for TV. It needs a specific look or whatever. And I think it's just getting that across to the client as well, that you're using the best equipment to get the best results for them. You know,
they don't get it. They don't.
No. They want this 30-man crew, you know, that they want to do their 2-minute video.
Well, it's funny, right? Like, you know, I mean, sometimes all you need is a tripod and a camera, and that's it. Yeah. See you later. Like, all right. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, you know, we're all trying to do the same thing, you know, be it, you know, whatever, YouTube or freelance or commercial. We're still trying to like make something that people can resonate with in the end. Like, we're all trying to do the same thing in the end. It's just different stuff that we're using. Like, it's you know what I mean? Like, when I was doing those like interviews with like the small businesses here, it's like, it could be a commercial, I guess. Like, I'm still trying to, you know, it's not really commercial, but it could be a commercial. Like, I mean, it's just you're trying to send the same like message to people. Say, hey, this like bakery is open for business.
You know what I mean? But it's the style in which you want to do it, isn't it? And that sort of like dictates what you're gonna film it on, and what the end look is gonna look like. And I always think, if you can do half the work in camera, do as much as you can in camera. 100%. So if you're gonna film it on a Canon C300 or a 500, you know, £15,000 camera, and you're gonna come back to the office or studio and then make it look like it's been filmed on a Samsung S10, you might as well just film it on a Samsung S10, and half the work's been done for you. You know, so it really is like, you know, whatever look you're going for, do that in the easiest and quickest way that you can possibly do that, and it'll look more genuine. I mean, I did a video not so long ago on a plugin which makes things look like it's done out of film, you know. And film's very, very expensive to film, and if you're filming on celluloid, it's hugely costly. And you're sort of like limited with takes and all that kind of stuff. So doing it in a digital way is really, really good. But it's still, and it's an amazing piece of software, but it's still not the same as filming it on film, is it? Because that's going to get you that very specific, very, very, very genuine look. It can be as close as it can digitally, but it's still not film. So it's like, if you can do it in camera, do it in camera.
Yeah. Don't do it in post. Do it in camera.
Yeah.
Speaking of post, like, have you always used Premiere?
Yeah. Well, I started off. I started off, and for a brief time, I used Final Cut 7.
Yeah. Okay. Is that good?
Very. That was I would say the last of the Final Cuts that was like really, really pro level.
Yeah.
Proper. Because at that time, when they moved to Final Cut X, a lot of the big studios that were using FCP just ditched it and went with DaVinci or Premiere. Well, Premiere at the time, because DaVinci didn't edit it; it was only color grading, and they added editing in later.
Yeah.
And I switched from 7 to Premiere, just because it looked so similar. Premiere looked very similar at the time to FCP, so I was quite comfortable with that at the time. Okay. And FCP, when it looked very much like iMovie. And it looked very different to what FCP looked like before. FCP was very much bins and preview windows and timeline and all that, the classic editing look. And they switched to this magnetic timeline business, and I didn't even touch it. I just moved straight over to Premiere. And then from that, and people moan about editing, people moan about Adobe and all that kind of stuff. But I remember when Adobe was like 2,500 quid. Well, would be $3,000 for the full master suite. Yeah. And I'm getting that for like £600 now, which is about $1,000, whatever, isn't it? Whatever that may be now. So it's still infinitely cheaper, even though it's that sort of £51 British pounds a month for me. It's still infinitely cheaper than buying every 18 months, spending £2,500. People
really like what they use for editing sometimes. It's almost like Coke. It's almost like Coke versus Pepsi,
It very much is. It very much is. And I'll use DaVinci to color grade and stuff like that, because that's industry standard, and it's excellent at what it does. Yeah. And I'll chuck it from Premiere into DaVinci to color grade. It depended on what I need it to do. If I'm color correcting it, I just use Lumetri in Premiere Pro, because it's I'm not going to round trip things for nothing. Right. And again, it's a toolbox. It's you can't be favoriting one thing over another. It's what is best for doing my job at this particular time. And if editing on Microsoft Film Editor is the best thing to do it on, I'll do it on that. Got to be open to all these things and sort of know about how they work, so that you can get the best rounded look at how's best to do your project.
Totally. And also, you don't know what you don't know, so
this is it.
Just self-educate yourself.
Yeah, for all I know, and that stands with me. I've seen people use Final Cut X, and I've tried it a few times, and it's really good. To be honest with you, it's really, really, really good. And if I come to a project where I needed to use Final Cut X, I would absolutely use it. It's not. They're getting so close now that it's almost like iPhone and Android. They're almost like they get a feature this year, and then Android gets it next year, and then an iPhone gets another one, and Android gets something. And they're almost so close. They're almost the same phone now. There's not a massive amount of difference between feature wise. Right. So I'm not like a huge fanboy of any one of those.
Adobe for life.
Yeah.
Shout out to the sponsor.
Adobe cap on. Me Adobe hoodie and all the rest of it.
I know. It's whatever workflow works for you is whatever gets it done. Like, just get it done, right?
I think that's, and it's a very pragmatic way to be. I think you don't get lost in that. Well, my software doesn't do it, so therefore I can't do that. No. You can switch and change and what have you, and I don't make a big deal of that either. I know a lot of YouTubers. I'm ditching Premiere for DaVinci and all this kind of business and what have you, and then 5 weeks later they're back at Premiere.
It happens.
Just think
sometimes the grass isn't always greener too, right?
Well, this is, and the thing is as well, you tend to, and I think we're all guilty of this. You look back with rose-tinted spectacles on how great things used to be and how rubbish they are now.
Yeah.
But really, you know, they're much better than what they used to be. You know, I mean, you know, I hear all sorts of horror stories about people losing projects and all that kind of stuff. But
nightmare, my ultimate nightmare.
Fingers crossed, I've never had that problem with any of the softwares, of them really.
Save backup.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be my worst nightmare, losing like a client project. Oh my god, like
yeah.
lose it.
I've done some great things. I've done some brilliant things, mate. I'll be honest with you. You know, I did this video with a chief exec of a local authority. And she'd broken her foot at the time, and she walked down 4 flights of stairs to do this video with me. And I'd previously I'd record to check to see what the video was going to be like. Filming it on this Sony camera, and then she came. She did this full 15-minute speech to camera. It was perfect as well. You know, no stuttering, no nothing. She just rattled it clean off. Brilliant in front of camera. And then I got back to the office, put the card in, and realised what I'd actually done is I'd hit stop record, and she just spoken to a camera on standby, and I'd not checked to see it saying record or standby. I just stood there watching.
Did you lose it?
I didn't record it. I just no,
but did you actually lose it yourself?
Oh yeah.
So what you had to say? Can you do that again?
Yeah, I had to go back. I went back, knocked on a door, and I just said, you know that video that we did this morning? Well, I completely effed that up.
You were honest, absolutely. The audio was off or something.
No, I completely effed that up. I did this check, hit record, and then when I actually hit record for you, I actually stopped it recording.
Oh my god!
You've done your thing. Is there any chance I could film that again? And she laughed. To be fair, luckily she laughed.
Yeah.
And just said, "Oh, easy mistake. Give me an hour, and I'll come down and do it."
Nice. Again. Oh, thank God.
So it was a good outcome, but it was a lesson learned to I've
always
never done
make
that
sure. Make sure you're recording. Make sure the audio is good before.
Never done any of that again because
oh my God.
Fear of God that for me.
I think we all make those mistakes at some point, right? Just stuff happens. Tech fails.
If you've not made a mistake when you're filming, mate, then you're not doing it right, are you?
Yeah. And it's important to make these mistakes when it's not such a high pressure situation, get those mistakes out early.
Absolutely. Yeah. Try not to do it with a client.
Don't do it on a Nike commercial. You may not get hired again or something.
Absolutely.
That's funny, man. Do you have any advice for people that are starting YouTube? Maybe this advice or tips and tricks? Maybe people that
advice and tips. Do you know what? I think and it's a tired old cliche. I think that it's people say just pick up a camera and do it.
Yeah.
But I think my advice would be don't be frightened of working through what you're going to be when you're on camera. And what you're going to be is yourself, but you'll initially want to be somebody else. And because you're influenced by all this huge amount of media that you're getting, so you want to be this person or you want to be that person or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's your personality that is going to attract people. And I think the advice would be is that pick something you're going to enjoy. Pick something that you know about that you can competently talk about. I don't script any of my videos because
me neither.
I make it shows. And it shows for me. There's lots of ums and ers and all that kind of stuff. But like you, Paul, I know my subject and I know what I'm talking about, and so I can competently do that without having to sort of have a teleprompter or a script or be practicing it and all that kind of stuff. And I think if you do something you enjoy, somebody out there is there to watch it. There's somebody there who wants to hear what you've got to say about it. Even if there are 15 million other people who are talking about the same thing, somebody will want to know what you've got to say and be attracted to your personality.
Yeah.
So I think yes, pick up a camera and do it. Don't be worried about starting out with thousands of pounds worth of gear. There is plenty of places out there that will sell stuff that is cheap enough for you to get the things you need to do in order to do it. And sort of my advice would be enjoy learning the process of putting stuff on YouTube. Enjoy learning the how you get better at it, because that's the fun bit. That once you've got better at it and you can just do it, it becomes a process of just doing it. But the learning of doing it is the thing that's actually the bit of fun. That's, you know, oh, if I put this light here, I get that look. Or if I turn this light on there, I get that look. Or if I have a mic on here, or I have a mic there, or I have a mic underneath me, you know, that all gives me something different. All that process of doing that, and your ideas should just come from what you want to do to start with. You know, every video that you do, really, I know, like we said before offline, it's like one for the audience and one for yourself kind of thing. But I think I agree with you, Paul, 100%.
It can be.
Every video should have something for you in it.
For you
know,
something. There has to be something for you in it. Somewhere.
It's your channel. So you know, it's your channel, and you're the master of your own universe there. So do things that you enjoy, you know, and have fun doing it. Don't be too hooked up on it. And the only other piece of advice I would give is don't focus on numbers.
Oh God, no.
Don't focus on subscribers. Don't focus on views.
Don't
focus. Just focus on the video, because none of that other stuff matters. None of it matters. You know, it doesn't matter if you've got 1 subscriber or 50 million. That number is irrelevant.
Yeah, and I feel that if people do make it big on YouTube, I don't think it's what you think it is too. Like, I don't know. To me, it's like if I ever hit like whatever, like 1 million subs or something, like I don't think it's what I think it is. Like I just think that comes with a lot more pressure.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I don't think it's like Hollywood calling. I think it's more like, now you got to make, you know, all these videos now because, you know, you have all these brand deals. Yeah. It's not.
Yeah, I think you become more and more invested in the numbers at that point.
Yeah,
and that sort of sucks the fun right out of it. You know?
It just becomes like a machine. You know what I mean? You gotta feed the machine. I always think of YouTube. You gotta like feed the beast, right? And I always say it jokingly, because whenever I upload a video, it's like, gotta feed the beast, gotta do a video. But it's not because I gotta do the video; it's because I want to do the video. But whenever you make it big, it's like, now you have to do it because you have to please the sponsors and the brand deals, and you need to please YouTube. So
yeah, absolutely. And also, I think you know, you get some of these really big YouTubers where they're doing the filming and stuff. Well, in some case, in a lot of those cases, they're not doing the filming. Somebody else is filming them, and somebody else is editing it. And I'm like, well, where's the fun in all that? Because the hobby bit of it, when you started out doing this, was that you were doing it all, and suddenly you've got this TV company behind you doing it. You know, and you're essentially the like Bill Mayer.
You're a prop. You basically become a prop too sometimes. I think so. I think the numbers, you know, I don't know. It's a weird thing. I mean, we're all human. We all like to get the likes and subscribers, but I think in the end, it's like, you know, just make it.
I think the affirmation thing. Where
we all need validation. All of us. Yeah. Like, we're human, right? I think even like, you know, even like the biggest artists out there, I think still want validation, and you know, they're like the most recognized people on the face of the planet. So it's just it's like the human condition, right? So that's why it's important early to have like kind of like the backbone of like why you're doing this. Like,
absolutely.
Why are you doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that YouTube itself is sort of geared to suck you into that. You're going to be big, and you're going to make money, and you're going to be famous and stuff like this.
YouTube tells you a lie.
Yeah, kind of.
You can quit your job and
it's like it's like a white lie, and it's sort of like it is a bit of a little lie that it tells you. And I think you've got to, like you say, I think you've got to go into it really, really stoically thinking, do you know what? None of that's going to matter. I'm doing this because I'm enjoying it. And if 5 people watch my video, amazing. If 6 people watch it, even better. But if nobody watches it, don't matter, because I've enjoyed putting it out there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's such a great place to be, because it's going to make you want to make the next video.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why would you make the next video if no one else watched the video last week? Like, why? Like, what? You know, that's why. I think that's what also separates people too, is just being able to make the next one, because people will just stop. So if you're able to keep going, you're gonna not less competition, but you're just gonna be able to have just a better. There's just gonna be more opportunities for you, because there's less people now. Because now you're still going like 4 years later, whereas people quit.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, it's better to grow slow and grow strong than it is to be meteoric and then you're at the top of this mountain, but you're still sort of you're still sort of inexperienced at what you're actually supposed to be doing, but you've got all this pressure now, like you said.
Yeah,
You've got
it
this
becomes
huge
pressure.
amount of
It becomes, I don't know, it becomes like this thing now. I don't know. It's like yeah, I don't know, it's a weird thing, man. It's a weird thing. Like it's just an interesting place to be. We're up against, I don't want to take up too much of your time, Dan. I mean, it is Saturday night, so I don't want to take up your entire Saturday night. So thanks again for jumping on. I should have you back on. I think we just scratched the surface.
Absolutely, yeah. Anytime you want me on, mate, I'm 100% there.
Yeah.
Really
Hopefully I
enjoyed
get
it.
to the UK. We do something live from the UK.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
want to do some collabs in the UK with Tony and with you. Imagine that.
I'm super down for that.
That'd be so much fun. Thanks everyone for watching and listening, whatever, Spotify, Google, YouTube, wherever this thing is. Go check out Dan. His channel link is in the description. So if you want to learn how to properly edit videos and not watch my videos, go check out Dan's channel. And it's a lot of fun.
Watch his videos. They're brilliant.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
They are, mate. They are. I watch them all. So yeah, they are. They're brilliant, mate. Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, really good.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you next week for someone else. Have a great rest of the weekend or whatever day this is you're watching this on. Peace.